Hello, everyone. My name is Ayman Abuawwad. I am a librarian and a cataloger currently working with the Arabic collection at Cambridge University Library in the UK. And of course, I am a Palestinian. It's an honor to be part of today's Celebrate Africa event. I want to begin by welcoming all participants and thanking the organizers. A special appreciation goes to the South African people, of course. Your unwavering solidarity with Palestinians, particularly in opposing apartheid and colonialism, has always inspired us. Our shared experiences and disposition and resistance continue to echo across continents. Now, why am I presenting this? I simply wanted to expose destruction of Palestinian cultural memory, highlight archival and heritage resistance projects, or at least some of them, encourage solidarity from cultural and academic sectors. Colonial erasure and the role of the perpetrator. Now, the erasure of Palestinian heritage is not accidental. It is systematic and deliberate. It is the result of the ongoing Zionist project of the settler colonialism implemented and enforced by Israel. Since 1948, to the present day, Israel has targeted not only Palestinian lives, but also Palestinian memory, its books, manuscripts, photographs, museums, libraries, and oral tradition. This destruction is part of a broader strategy to dispossess Palestinians and rewrite history in favor of the colonial settler narrative. And the goal is not only to remove Palestinians from their land, but to erase every idea that they ever existed here. The scale of destruction, people, memory, and the institutions. According to Al Jazeera latest live tracker records on their website, the death toll in Gaza is at least 55,432 people, including at least 17,400 children and at least 128,923 people injured. Other estimates suggest the real number may exceed 186,000, accounting for bodies under rubble, direct deaths from starvation, trauma, and the medical collapse. In addition, Israel has used airstrikes, shelling, bombing, burning, and controlled demolitions to damage or destroy more than 90% of schools and university buildings across Gaza. This has made education impossible for over 658,000 children, most of whom have been out of school for nearly two years now. As of 27th of May 2025, the UNESCO has verified damage to 110 sites since October the 7th. 13 religious sites, 77 buildings of historical and or artistic interest, 3 depositories of movable cultural property, 9 monuments and at least 1 museum, and 7 archaeological sites. But according to also Al Jazeera, among the nearly 200 cultural heritage sites targeted in Gaza since October 2023, here are some of the most significant losses. Museums. The first one I wanted to highlight is the Rafah Museum. It is completely destroyed, and it is Gaza's principal heritage museum, curated 30 years ago, and it held ancient coins, copper plates, and jewelry. The second one is Al Garara Museum, completely destroyed, located in Khan Yunis, and it housed 3,000 Canaanite era artifacts, and it was built in 2016 by a husband and a wife initiative to preserve Gaza's heritage. Third one I wanted to highlight is Qasr al-Basha, and it was damaged on December the 11th, I think, in 2024, and it is a 13th century place turned into a museum with Mamluk and Ottoman history linked to Napoleon, used as a school before 1948, of course. And I also wanted to highlight the last one to highlight is Madhaf Al-Funduk, destroyed in November 2020. Or I might be wrong, it might be 2023, but nonetheless, it is destroyed. And it is a small museum inside the Madhaf Hotel in northern Gaza, which is the area of where my family resides. And I actually have some fond memories of it because I visited it 2 summers before this onslaught happened on Gaza. It's such a beautiful place. Now, with regards to libraries, I've chosen to highlight some of the most interesting ones. Of course, many others have been destroyed. The library of the Great Umari Mosque destroyed, and it contained 20,000 rare manuscripts, including Quranic texts, Sufi writings, and medical texts. Some of the some copies are digitized and may be available. If you are interested, just email me. The other one is Rashad al-Shawwa Cultural Center. It's basically destroyed, and it used to be an exhibition, include an exhibition hall and a library. And by the way, this venue was the venue of the 1990s peace talks, the Oslo Accords, and it hosted many global figures. It actually hosted the President of the United States at the time, Bill Clinton, and also hosted, I believe, the South African late President, Nelson Mandela, who delivered a speech there. Sadly, this is completely destroyed now. I also wanted to highlight a very beloved bookshop, Samir Mansour bookshop. It was a very, very beloved bookshop to the Gazan population and the book community there. This was destroyed. This wasn't the first time it was destroyed. It was destroyed before and was rebuilt after the 2021 attacks. Now, in terms of mosques, Great Umari Mosque is the biggest mosque in Gaza. First destroyed partially, and I believe now almost completely destroyed. And it is the oldest mosque in Gaza, built in the 7th century on layers of religious heritage, and it could host 5,000 worshippers. The second mosque is a Sayyid Hashim mosque. It's damaged, and this mosque actually is said to house the tomb of the Prophet Muhammad's great-grandfather, and it is built in the 12th century and renovated multiple times. Also, Katib al-Wilaya Mosque, also historical one, damaged, located besides the church of Saint Rufus. This is, of course, a common thing to have churches next to mosques in Palestine in general, and this symbolizes the interfaith heritage of the Palestinians. Also, a Byzantine church in Jabalia camp was damaged. I believe it's now completely destroyed or erased. It was built in 444 AD, restored in 2022, but sadly it's gone now. And it was famous for its mosaic floors and 16 Greek inscriptions. Now, these sites were more than architecture. They were vessels of collective memory, spirituality, scholarship, and identity, now reduced to rubble by Israeli airstrikes in what many observers rightfully call a deliberate act of cultural genocide. These are not collateral losses. They are deliberate acts of cultural genocide. Now, to the 3 projects that I wanted to highlight. Why these projects in particular? There are, of course, many powerful projects, such as those 3 ones across Palestine and the diaspora. Grassroots initiatives, for example, family collections, archives in refugee camps, oral history centers, digital platforms, and resistant art collectives. Due to the time limits of this presentation, I've chosen to highlight 3 projects that I have been personally following and learning from as a professional in the field of libraries and archives. These examples were selected because they are well established and fast emerging and internationally accessible. And they demonstrate different dimensions of archival resistance: land documentation, global collaboration, and decolonial museum practice. This is not exhaustive survey, but focused and intentional spotlight meant to keep the presentation tight, impactful, and grounded, hopefully. Now, archives. The first one is Palestine Land Studies Center. PLSC. It is located at the American University in Beirut, AUB, Lebanon. This center serves as a comprehensive archive of Palestinian land records, maps, and refugee histories. It was founded by Dr. Salman Abu Sitta, who has spent over 5 decades compiling detailed documentation of Palestinian land ownership and forced expulsion. It represents a living archive documenting every destroyed village, expelled family, and stolen acre of Palestine or Palestinian land. It includes or holds a digital map archive of over 20,000 Palestinian villages and land parcels. Also, it holds oral histories from survivors of Nakba and scanned documents of British Mandate era and land records. Now, how you can engage with this initiative or this project is by accessing the platform on the website shown on the slide here. Use the archives for research, educational, or legal advocacy, and support the digitization and translation efforts. The second project is called Archives and Heritage for Palestine series. It's global because it's online. It is co-organized by a coalition of librarians and archivists. It is organized by Dr. Jamila Ghaddar and Tam Ryan. They are both librarians and publishers for Palestine from the Middle East Librarians Association, MILA. This is a year-long international speaker series focused on documenting archival destruction, building global networks of memory workers, offering practical tools and frameworks for resistance through heritage. Now, how can you engage with it? Follow the series through the websites listed here in this slide and sign the Open Solidarity Statement titled A Call to Archive Against Genocide, share resources, and invite others to attend or host similar events. And if you'd like to participate in one of their episodes of this series, just simply contact them. The third project I wanted to highlight is not actually from Gaza. It's from occupied West Bank. This is a Birzeit University museum and archive. The reason I am highlighting this because I believe this is a very innovative way of dealing with archives and looking at it altogether. It is led by Rana Barakat. She is the director of Birzeit University Museum. Now, the museum engages in critical museological practice. It challenges tradition, colonial frameworks that look Palestinian heritage in the past. Instead of it sees memory as living, evolving, and actively connected to resistance. The museum itself rethinks what a collection is, and it reconnects students with place-based history, resists the static museumification of Palestinian identity. So how can you engage with this project? Simply explore online exhibitions and public programs, incorporate their decolonial practices in your own teachings or institutional work, and connect for future collaborations in education, art, and archives. Now, why all this matters? Archives, return, and belonging. Now, the Palestinian archive is not a neutral space. It is a political battleground. So to preserve memory is to preserve the possibility of return. To gather stories and histories is to assert that Palestinians belong to each other, to their land, and to their future. Archives, libraries, and museums are where we keep the evidence of life, not just death. They are where return is not only remembered, but rehearsed. What can we do? Practical solidarity. Whether you are a librarian, educator, student, researcher, or cultural worker, document, capture stories, images, materials at risk, and preserve, backup, and safeguard digital archives. Advocate, challenge silence in your institution, for example. Educate, make space for Palestinian archival work in your classrooms, events, and exhibitions. support, engage with the initiatives highlighted today and others like them. Now, to close, I just wanted to say that Palestinian heritage is being erased, not by natural disaster or neglect, but by design, by a settler colonial regime that sees cultural history and memory as threats. They see it as threats to its legitimacy, but archives resist. They survive in notebooks, flash drives, fading photographs, and oral storytelling. They survive in exile and in refugee camps. They survive because people care enough to keep the memory alive. And that's all I wanted to say. If you have any questions, ideas, or wish to learn more about anything in this presentation, please feel free to contact me at my email, ay_man55@hotmail.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Celebrate Africa. And thank you again to South Africa for your courage, clarity, and solidarity, and free Palestine.